Hello, y'all. Come on in. Come on in. It is Sunday, March 29th, and I am live. It is 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. So come on in, y'all. Come on in. Welcome back to another episode. This week, we're going to get into this full moon in Libra, y'all. We're gonna have another full moon on the forecast. Come on in, y'all. Come on in. Good morning. I'm gonna give folks a little bit of time to come on in. We are at it again. I am back and we are live. And again, if you are catching this and it is not Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, then you are not on my Patreon. I think you should be, because every week I show up. This is my devotional practice. I show up here on this Patreon and I do a live taping of the show. And all you got to do is subscribe at the free level. All right. All you got to do is subscribe at the free level. If you're at the free level on my Patreon, you get access to all of my lives. And I am going live more because I'm also working with the tarot. We're working with the energy of what it means to actually have a new beginning, to take back the thing we call our lives in this Aries season. So if you're interested in more about that, I'll talk a little bit about that more later in the show, but also check it out yourself on my Patreon, y'all, okay? All right, folks. Folks are coming on in. It has been, y'all, I am sore. I know that's right, Desi. Get your wine, get your weed, get your coffee, get whatever you need, y'all. Good morning, and let's have a kickback session, y'all. I had a good old time this weekend. It was a bunch of ups and downs because we had Chiron hanging out with Venus. So we're going to talk about some woundings that may have come up around relationships, around your sense of self, around your value, around all that good shit. But that was really helping us. And it's really helping us kind of get into the foundational understandings of what it's going to take for us to really care for ourselves. So we're going to get into that because we're talking about relationships, y'all. We're talking about relationships. So before we begin, the question I want you to ruminate on that we're going to flow through this whole episode with, right, is what is your relationship to relationships? Okay? All right, y'all, let's get into it. This week, Venus makes her way into the home sign of Taurus, while her other home sign, Libra, is full mooning on the 2nd. So what is your relationship to relationships? What kind first pops up in your head when I ask that question? Which ones do you prioritize and why? As we move into April, Aries season is truly lit up with the stellium that will keep growing over the month. So our relationship to not only just one another and ourselves, but also our food systems, infrastructure, nature, and the patriarch will all come into play as the reality of our choices in the relationships of our lives will be illuminated. Again, what has been unearthed in the retrogrades of water that we have come out of cannot be unknown. So how has that reflection being illuminated in your relationships? This is the weekly forecast for March 29th to April 4th, the full moon in Libra. What is your relationships to relationships? And that is the question of this full moon in Libra, a culmination point to what was planted 6 months ago during the new moon. So what relationships are we in collectively that need re-examination? Welcome back to Yapping with the Stars, the show where I talk about what it means and takes for us to become human once again in a world that is trying to convince us that this is all there is, and it's not. So let's talk with the cosmos and see what else is possible. I am your host and guide, Dr. Nicole Rouse, a storyteller who comes from a line of storytellers who weave and tell stories in many different ways. And as an anthropologist, astrologer, and artist, I work with astrology and ethnography to explore the stories of what it means for us to be human. Because right now, the present is up for grabs. So who is leading the stories that will bring us into our futures? Every Sunday, we check into the chaos we call society and ask 2 questions, y'all. What's the cosmos showing us this week? And what are we being called to move, create, burn, build, and or reflect upon? Before we get into it, y'all, I am going to celebrate me, myself, and I, because this week is also my 1-year anniversary. It's my anniversary on the 2nd. right around was the full moon is happening, the end of that first, at the beginning of the second, depending upon where you are in the world. But on the second of this month, of this week, it's also 1 year of this show. So to celebrate, I'm doing some things on my own. I'm gonna go out and dance, but also to celebrate as well. And also to say thank y'all for folks who have been with me this full year, this whole full year. And don't worry, there's gonna be plenty more. Because this is my devotional practice. I'm offering from now until April 17th, which is the new moon in Aries. 30% discount on all of my readings one time. Just use the code anniversary, right? In all capitals. Anniversary. Hell, if you can sing it while you putting the code in too, you might get some more. I don't know. But go ahead if you're interested in reading with me, if you're interested in kind of one-on-one work with me. I've got a number of different types of readings that I put up this year. And if you have noticed, my readings do shift because that's just my energy. I have to follow what I'm interested in. And right now I'm interested in looking at Saturn as a crone. I'm interested in the new year. I'm interested in transits. What else am I interested in? Oh, and astrological middle age. So you're going to see those as examples of what I'm offering right now. So if you're interested, go ahead. 30% off from now until April 17th to celebrate my 1 year anniversary of the show. Okay. And I'm going to be doing a couple of different things here and there as well. Because I got some other things cooking up, y'all. I got some other things cooking up because of with the YouTube. I'm working on a new show, and it's not going to interfere with this. This is my weekly devotional practice, but I got a new show I'm cooking up. So stay tuned for that. And if you're interested in more about that, I'll be dropping a couple of things in the Patreon as I've been experimenting with the pilot. Okay. And it really is coming out of some things that were planted 6 months ago. So we're talking about full moons, y'all. Okay. We're talking about full moons. We're going to talk about this full moon this week. Full moons in the sign that it is in is the halfway point of what was planted 6 months prior when that sign was in its new moon phase. Okay. So think back to when the new moon in Libra was, and I sure as hell forgot to look up that date. So if somebody wouldn't mind just real quick Googling for me, because I'd be I'd be confusing things. If they can just, you can just Google real quick for me what the new moon in Libra for 2025. I just forgot the date of that. I greatly appreciate it. Put it in the comments. But I want you to think back to 6 months ago, okay, when around that Libra time and when that new moon happened, and what was happening around then. What were some things that were going on, especially when it came to your relationships? Now, I'm asking the question over and over again. What is your relationship to relationships? Because I want you to think about what are the first types of relationships that pop up. Thank you, Shay. I thought it was in October. So I wanted to make sure, because October 21st, yes, that was my first Queer and Chaos conversation. I wanted to make sure it was Libra. So the new moon thing I planted 6 months ago was my Queer and Chaos project, which is a documentary that I'm working on. It's part of a larger project around what does it mean for us to meet the chaos of the present moment with the chaos of our own. And for me, this is what it means to queer things. It means to bend the reality to something different outside of the norms that we've been bounded in. Okay. So what I did was I brought folks together in different ways, starting with spirit, and then I worked with family and community. And then we moved to pleasure and play and taboo things, music and technology. And the last part was dreaming. So I did a panel series each month. So I was working with spirit back then because I was really interested in what is our relationship to spirit, right? What is our relationship to our own spirit, to our concept of spirit, to one another's spirit, and the spirits we're working with? And what would it look like to have a conversation with just queer folks? And that panel was just Black and brown queer women and non-binary folks. And I did that on purpose. There was a reason for that because I wanted the conversation to move beyond what we already know. And we already know a bunch of men telling us what they think is going to happen. And every time a bunch of men get around and tell us what they think is going to happen based upon their connection to some type of spirit, all we end up is the same goddamn mess that we started with. And we're told that if we just wait some more, maybe something else will change. The more we wait, the more we rely upon somebody else to dictate for us, right, what is coming next, the more we end up in the same kind of reindeer games. So what happens if we take it back? So what is our relationship to relationships? The first one being with our spirits, right? Spirit of you, spirit of one another, and what it means to actually work with that spirit, not just consume it, not just sit here and take a bunch of classes, right? How many of us will sit in and take classes, whether it be in a university or with another spiritualist or in somebody's house, and feel as if we don't know enough, so we keep going back and we keep consuming but never actually practicing, or we're told that we can't practice these things that we're learning because we're never going to be enough until we initiate or pay somebody else more and more and more. There's a time and a place that we have to come to in which we have to stop consuming and start embodying. And for me, this is really the kind of essence of this Libra energy, because Libra has a tendency to lie. This is what I mean by that. And before you get in your feelings, y'all, before you get in your feelings, if you got Libra placements, I got 4 of them. So I'm not shitting on a sign. It's not about you personally. Stop taking things personally and understand the energy. The energy of Libra is one that is inherently a liar in the modern context. Why do I say that? Because Libra rules this side of Venus. It rules the air, masculine side of Venus. So it rules things like justice. It rules relationships, right? It rules our understandings of exchange. And it also rules these things that we understand justice to be about. Now, how have we been taught to understand justice, especially in the United States? What is justice, right? What are we told literally justice is? She is a blind motherfucker who can't see the goddamn truth, right? Justice is blind. So therefore, she holds the scales of justice, the foundations of a nation that dictate to us our so-called moral grounding. But if justice and how we would understand it, and the relationship of balance is one in which we are not allowed to fully see, and we are told to not trust the first thing that tells us what is right or wrong, which is our body, which is that intuition, the other side of Venus, which is Taurus. We're going to get to Taurus in a minute too, right? Then the way that we understand ideas of justice, of compromise, of relationships, of balance will always be out of balance, because you're not supposed to believe yourself. You're supposed to always be blind to what is going on and rely upon the narrative of somebody else. And your state has already told you that it will not engage with this history, that it will not actually tell itself a truth. So therefore, justice is upholding a nation state that is built upon lying to itself. Well, shit, then, if you embody the energy of Libra, and that is how we have been taught justice, then there is a way that the first thing you are taught is to lie to yourself so that you become a tool that maintains balance while you are always out of balance. So the full moon in Libra is asking us, what is our relationship to relationships? Because the first one is to ourselves. So where do we lie to ourselves? So how do we find the balance? We go to the opposite side, Aries. And Aries is lit the entire fuck up. How have your heads been feeling this past weekend, y'all? How have your hearts been feeling? Was there some types of irritations, but also some types of kind of sadness that came up? Any kind of wounding around old memories of maybe where you gave up where you shouldn't have, or past relationships that had to be resurfaced? There's a way that Aries is asking us to take a hard look at the ways that we have been wounded around our identities and being secure in who we are, because Chiron is here. And Chiron's at a final degree. See, and see, urge to kick folks out of your house, right? There's a way that there is an anger here, right? Remember I talked about the primordial anger that's coming up. There's a primordial rage coming up, but it can't just burn you up. You have to be able to work with it. You have to understand, what does it mean? And so right now there is a way we're having to take a hard look at our relationships and which ones we prioritized and have been told to prioritize and have lied to ourselves to maintain, that now have consequences, that the darkness has come to light, right? Full moons illuminate things in the dark that must now come to light. And because the retrogrades, right? We talked about the retrogrades. Jupiter retrograde in Cancer, along with Mercury retrograde in Pisces at the same time. And Mercury was retrograde a much longer time than normal in its retrograde cycle. There were things that were brought from the deep surface up to the waters, especially around family, nurturing, care. Our understandings of spirit, what we have faith and belief in, where we have put our faith in, things that have been brought to the surface that we cannot ignore individually and collectively. So as those things have come up, right, we have people talking about how childhood grief has come up, how understandings around the family have come up, understandings where we have put somebody else above ourselves, and where has that really gotten us, where we have put ourselves above somebody else, thinking that that is love or care and affection. In actuality, we have done what we did not want to do. Do we see these cycles that we cannot let go of, that we cannot ignore? The full moon in Libra is also illuminating that for us, asking us then, what does balance really look like? Balance, how do we do that? When we go to Aries, when we find the balance with the self. So this full moon is happening at a time in which Aries has a lot of energy going on. All right, a lot of energy going on. And the main thing that's going on when the full moon is happening is that you've got Chiron at a late degree. Now, at the same time we have Chiron at this late degree, Venus has already passed through. So there has been, again, this resurfacing around the self, right? And there was wounding for healing around, again, our understanding of our bodies, our understanding of love, our understanding of how we see ourselves and attraction. Attraction is going to be here. And we're going to talk about attraction going forward, because of where Venus is now heading to, because Venus is now going to be in Taurus at the same time that we have this full moon in Libra happening. So the ruler of the full moon is going to be in her home sign of Taurus, right? The sign of the body, the sign of how we feed ourselves, the sign of nourishment, the sign of the voice, right? Because it rules our throats, what we digest, as well as what we have to spit up. There is a shaking up going on because Uranus is ending their long ass cycle of chaos, upending the most rigid parts of our bodies, the most rigid parts of our charts. So where does love come in? And what does love actually look like? When we understand love having to be an action. Because we also got in Aries, as we have the sun, your sense of self. We got Saturn, the crone, the great mother, asking us to grow up. And we have Neptune right next to her. Neptune, the planet of the deep waters, the one that only knows how to work with delusions, with the stories, with illusions. So how do we create new stories that, if we're going to be delusional, that they actually work for us? So the full moon in Libra is also going to be illuminating with the stories that we have told ourselves about relationships that may not actually serve you or the other person, whatever that relationship is, due to what has come up to the surface, especially around what it is you need for care and nurturing and home and safety and all of that. If the shit ain't safe in the relationships you are in, then what is your responsibility in creating the new relationships, the new contracts that will allow you to be able to take responsibility for the life that you say you want to create? This is an ending as well as a beginning still, because we got a new moon in Aries coming up in 2 weeks' time, activating this new moon, this new year overall astrologically. Equinox starts the new year, the new moon activates it. So in this illumination of Libra, in the relationships you have, what are the relationships that you have to no longer try to say are okay or are not? Which ones do you have to have a reality check with? Because whether you want to or not, Aries will make sure that it's going to burn some shit up. So whether you want to end it or not, something is coming to an end so that a new beginning can emerge. All right. And let's talk about relationships then, because we have a lot of relationships collectively that we are now reevaluating that can help us examine then our individual relationships and who we prioritize. Okay. So the first relationship that we are having to really engage with, let's weave some things together, y'all. Let's weave some things together and weave in time. The first one is a relationship to technology. right? A relationship to technology is collapsing, as it was always fake. Because at the same time that we're having this and all of this full moons and new moons, remember the outer planets are still in this loose trine, this loose grand trine. Pluto's in Aquarius, direct. Neptune's in Aries, direct. Uranus is in Taurus and will move into Gemini at the end of this month, direct. We have all outer planets direct in brand new signs by the end of this month saying, and they're like, baby, we don't know what the hell's going to happen next. It is up to y'all to decide. So if change is here, then what is our relationship to change? Relationships change. So then let's examine then the relationships that we have to then change to. So technology. Right now we're seeing our relationship to technology really collapsing because now we have to re-engage with the fact that all of this shit that we've been told is a lie. We've been talking about this for a while, but now we're seeing how, what is it? They've just collapsed. Another big AI company has just collapsed, right? This idea that it was ever fruitful, that makes no sense. So now Sam Altman's out and they put a woman in. And that is nothing more than a scapegoat because Sam had no idea what he was doing. He literally was up there telling us that he had no idea. When people said, how is this going to actually make money and reap back all the money that you're asking? He was asking for trillions, y'all. I swear, if we don't take a little bit of this energy of a mediocre white man and start asking for what the fuck we need, I don't know what we're going to do, right? This man got up there and really asked for trillions. And then when they said, well, how are we going to get it back? He literally said, well, the chat GPT will tell us. Baby, you with a straight face, y'all. Right? With the straight. And there you go, Sam. And he said he wouldn't know how to raise a baby without chat GPT. And that is called genius. Do you see how we are being fed this idea that the more we don't know how to care for ourselves, that is somehow progress for the human? Who does that actually benefit? Do you see what I'm saying? The more you're afraid of caring for your body, of knowing what your body needs, of how to engage with that body, and then believing that shit, giving it your authority up to something or someone else. It's not just a big daddy God in the sky, y'all. If you give up your authority to that chat GPT or to Claude, give up your ability to critically engage and think and ask a question, right? And thinking that is somehow progress and success, then who benefits in that relationship? So this man now, because he can't actually answer to any of his stockholders, but now there's a bunch of shit pumped out, right? A bunch of shit that's now been pumped out that people need their benefit. They need to get some kind of return on their investment. Who do they put in? A woman. That usually happens. That is the cycle that we need to believe in the relationship we have to technology. Right? And exactly it is that. It's shade. It's the idea that we need to put certain others first. Maybe the favor will trickle in. It's trickle down economics. We know that shit don't work. Right? You can't trickle down some intelligence. Right? It just don't sprinkle down like fairy dust. Right? It doesn't just trickle down that somehow you know how to wipe your ass. Someone's got to teach you that. That's part of the way we learn how to engage in this thing called society. But the more we are taught to not be able to take care of ourselves, that then impacts our one-on-one relationships, our familial ones, our communal ones. You see what I'm saying, y'all? The relationships, once again. The first one starts with the body and the self. So now, we got a woman that comes in. This is a cycle that we have to believe. Because this is the way the patriarch and the concept of the patriarchy embedded within structures gets us to always do its bidding. But then again, that's called progress. Because we were told that all we had to do in the 2010s, when Neptune was in Pisces, the deep waters, we had to just girl boss the way through, right? The glass ceiling and all that lean in bullshit, usually by white women, trying to uphold the white patriarch, but becoming the new patriarch. And we already know that story. We know that relationship, y'all. It is no different. It's just a regurgitation of a plantation system because we know the first girl boss was Miss Anne on the plantation. It's the same story over and over again. It's a way that we get told to digest and buy into, always upholding the ideology and concepts and energy of a patriarch as somehow being the thing or the one, right? That will get us to some progress, and we never progress anywhere. We keep getting scammed because the white patriarch is nothing more than a goddamn scammer. It's the first grifter. And we saw that. If you ever saw Manosphere, when I talked about Manosphere before that documentary with Jason Thoreau, let's be real, or Henry Thoreau, I keep messing my man's name up, Henry Thoreau, right? He's also no different than those bros that he was interviewing. I didn't really care for that documentary, quite frankly. I didn't think it was that good, but it was really telling. It ain't got to be good to tell you some information, y'all, right? Don't confuse the two. Right? Don't confuse the two, because he was no different than those bros. He was just the other side of it. The kind of, geeky white guy, oh, I'm just going to ask a question, knowing good and goddamn well what you're doing. Right? And I had to deal with a lot of that kind of archetype of the white patriarch who knows how to make himself somehow not as threatening so that he can sit at your table. And then in sitting at your table, he's taking the information he needs, consuming it, and then taking it and getting paid on his own for his own shit because he knows how to maneuver in these systems, right? So I'm saying all of that, right? The good guy is duplicitous, exactly. So I'm saying all that is, what is our relationship to technology? Because it's also going to help us understand our relationship to the patriarch. And right now we are seeing that relationship. We give the patriarch all this leeway. He can be childlike. He gets to play. He gets to play. He gets to play in the honeypot, gets to experiment off of what? Our backs, our labor, our dime. Because all that money that got pumped into AI is off the state. It's a goddamn welfare check. The first welfare queen is the white patriarch, y'all. The first welfare queen is the white patriarch. And he keeps sucking us dry. And then once he sucks dry enough, he then asks a woman to go in and clean that shit up. Right? Here's the difference, though. When it's a white woman going in cleaning it up, y'all got to realize that it is the conception of white womanhood that has allowed the white patriarch to maintain itself. Miss Anne was the first one on that plantation because many times folks got their wealth through her and her daddy. And in order to maintain any kind of sense of power in a very hierarchical patriarchal society, right? When the patriarch comes down on you, then you are trained to come down on somebody else. And who did Miss Anne come down on that plantation? Everybody else, especially Black women and Black children. So then we see that replicated in these systems. We see that replicated in the new plantation. And all of us on this plantation, baby, please don't think that somehow you got off of it. It's embedded in the ways that these institutions are created. The first plantation you are coming into is the family, because you must be groomed to understand your place in this system. Then you go into college, or you go into education, or you go into the institution of religion, or whatever is training you in that K through 12 era. And then you come out and you go into corporate, or you go into some type of workforce, military, higher ed, nonprofit, whatever it is. It's new ways that we are taught to extract. So what is our relationship then to technology and the patriarch? Because if we truly understand the first technology is the body, Aries being lit up all month, reminding us of that. And we believe that technology. Then what does it mean for us to stop replicating and buying into these structures and systems? And there's no one answer to that, y'all. That's the other thing too. We're going to have to sit in the fact that in this new world building, it's a lot of mess. Everybody wants the one answer. And that's where the frustration for me lies, in trying to world build with anything or anyone. We got to figure out how to play, because we have been shown what it looks like when the white patriarch plays. Let us stop letting him play on us and take that play back. Become the trickster at the crossroad that we are all at. Those outer planets, Trinity, 3. If you've been working with me for a while, you understand the 3. The 3 is the crossroad. So we are all at a crossroad right now. We've been here for a while. Mercury helping us the last year, trying to get us prepared for this when Mercury was retrograding in fire. And we talked about the crossroad being lit up. So now Mercury is going through water, retrograding this year, asking us to reflect upon what we have already been through. Do we remember? Do we know? Do we believe? Virgo South Node is also being activated, releasing, having us get into the body. So therefore, releasing physically. Hence, what is your relationship to your stomach and food right now? What tastes good? Has your taste buds changed? Has your taste in whatever that Virgo house represents in your chart changed? For me, the 11th house is my Virgo, which is my relationship to my hopes and my dreams, but also the public, social media. Has my taste in that changed? Hell, the fuck yeah, it has. You know, and it needs to. Because I believe the relationship that we have all been groomed into, to technology and the patriarch, and because I occupy the body of a Black queer woman, I understand in this plantation system, there's already an embedded understanding that it is okay to consume and take from me, but you will pay that white man over there. We're rewriting that goddamn story. We're writing that script. But the only person who can rewrite that script off the bat is me. What script do you need to rewrite when you change your relationship to technology and the patriarch? Let's talk about Iran. How many of y'all saw the cartoon, the Legos cartoon that Iran put out? I think there was 2 different ones, right? Where they were claiming to be, again, the ones who were going to push back against U.S. American imperialism for all those who were impacted by U.S. imperialism. How many folks saw that? Those Lego cartoons, those Legos. It was literally like Lego movie. Let me tell you something. Propaganda. What is your relationship to the patriarch? You can tell by your reaction to those types of cartoons, those types of things put out. Because again, when you look at who Iran highlighted as who was the ones that were impacted by, that they are defending against the U.S. imperialism, there were 2 populations that were not put in there. 2 populations that, so I guess, impacted by U.S. imperialism that Iran is not going to be defending. Black Americans and Hispanics targeted by ICE. Right? There is a way that, but people are still like, yeah. U.S. is going to get it. U.S. is going to get it. Y'all, do we not understand that we are all pawns in patriarchs' games right now? We are all pawns in patriarchs' games right now. It's a dick-swinging contest with deadly results. Because please don't think that one patriarch is somehow going to save you from another. Because do you understand your enemy as well as understand your enemy? Right? Do you understand your oppressor as much as you understand your other oppressor? What is your relationship to the patriarch will help you really be able to see through all of this shit that is going on, because technology is being used to play these reindeer games. So which technology do you believe first? This, your body, or the one external to you telling you what to believe? When really, you can't believe none of these fools. You have to believe what it is that you understand and know and hold true from your experiences and those who have come before you in the location you are in. So what is your relationship then to time? Can you be present? Can you be present in the present moment so that you are examining the past from a perspective that is grounded in the spirit of you, alongside of your knowing, so that your strategy that you're deploying is one that is not replicating the same goddamn patriarchal bullshit, y'all. Because again, no one's going to save us. Iran don't give a damn about us. They give a damn, though, about winning. They give a damn about reclaiming a stake. So does China. Everyone keeps talking about how, oh, these are old empires. So how does this new U.S. think they're going to defeat an old empire? Y'all, take a step back. Stop the either or and realize they're old empires. They're empires. Are we not tired of being under the guise of imperialism in one form or another? Where the fuck has it gotten us? In the same damn loops once again, trying to reclaim something, a past, a present that was constantly been stolen. So then what is your relationship to history? That's also what's on the table being illuminated, this new moon in Libra. How many of y'all saw the UN, that UN vote to recognize the enslavement of Africans as the greatest crime against humanity? How many of y'all saw, listened to, or saw that vote with the UN? So that was really interesting, right? Because the UN, it was more of a what do you call that? A gesture. It doesn't really have much weight. 3 people were against it. 3 states were against it. Of course, the US was one of them. And then 52 abstained, mainly the UK and all EU states, along with a few others, right? But overall, it was really pushed by Caribbean, African nations. And so it was very symbolic. There's the word, symbolic in nature. But it's the first iteration, right, of this kind of pushback against a Western understanding of what is and is not classified as genocide. Here's the thing. This is not the first time that this has been brought to the UN. But our histories and our memories are short on purpose. Because let's go back to 1951. In the work of the Civil Rights Congress, the CRC, they went to the UN with a petition called "We Charge Genocide, the Crime of the Government Against the Negro People." And it was a book-length proposal, a book-length, you hear me? A book-length proposal to the UN. And what they did was Paul Robeson at the time went to the UN's headquarters in New York. And then William Patterson was over in Paris at the UN headquarters there. So they were presenting in 2 different locations. Again, this book-length petition that was chronicling the lynching and brutality and discrimination against Black folks since slavery, not even including slavery, enslavement fully in that. Okay. And this is a work that was chronicled by folks like Ida B. Wells. So Ida B. Wells did this work because she had 3 of her folks were lynched in the South. So she was doing this work along with a lot of others with the NAACP as well at the beginning iterations of it, of collecting this data. And they had collected what was known at that time in the 85 years since enslavement, that there have been at least 10,000 African Americans lynched. At least. About 100 a year. Okay. So they present these at the UN, 1951. Guess what happens? The UN discussions were blocked by the US. The US used the Cold War that was also beginning to ensue at that time as an excuse to move these conversations. And at the same time, the CRC, which is the Civil Rights Congress, was labeled as communist by the US government. And William Patterson was admonished at the UN by the US Attorney General, saying that he was speaking against and attacking his government. When Patterson returned, his passport was seized, and he could no longer speak to any foreign audiences about Black folks' treatment in the US. Now, W.E.B. Du Bois was also supposed to be at Paris, at that Paris UN meeting, because he was also part of the research that was going on and the collection of the data and part of the writing of the petition. But he was not allowed to leave the US by the State Department. Does this sound familiar? Right? The state told Patterson that he was not American because how dare he bring up his people's history to the public, right? Don't air out your dirty laundry to other folks. What does that sound like? So Patterson dared to bring from the private into the public what was happening. And that structure made sure to shut that down. Now, 2026, we have African and Caribbean nations going to the UN, being able to at least say that the crimes against African peoples is the greatest crimes against humanity, the transatlantic slave trade. While being able to be heard, the same parties essentially are ensuring that nothing truly is done. Our relationship to history is really important right now. Because when you don't understand where you come from, it is so easy to have somebody else tell you who you are and how you don't come from shit. And this has been happening a lot when it comes to the contributions, the understanding, the culture of African Americans. And that's why we got to be very careful right now of the ways that when you don't feel as if you are seen, as if you are respected, as if you are understood, and somebody comes up and has the appearance of being able to see you. Hey, girl, hey, I see you over here. It's easy then to be a moth to a flame that is not actually for you. It just wants to consume you because it can see your light. We got to be careful of conservative logic couching itself once again as folks are looking for a place to belong, for a place to be seen, for a place to be recognized. The rise of the kind of, what do they call themselves now? I keep forgetting because it gets more and more ridiculous. The first Black Americans, or the, what do they call it? The descendants of whatever the hell the new term is, okay? Whatever the new term is. We got to be careful that we don't allow that patriarch to come in once again into the locations that he has wreaked the most havoc. And I get really nervous, especially online, of folks adhering to people like a Dr. Umar. Yeah, he's hilarious, y'all, right? What does he say? Snow bodies never, Black queens forever, whatever. He's hilarious. He's a fucking comedian. I think his Mercury's in the 12th house. He should be a comedian, right? But the comedy is, the way you can really make a living here is doing this kind of pseudo-intellectualism that gets folks to feel good. It's a glamour magic almost. And right now, there's a lot of folks looking for this kind of way to belong, right? It is a clown, right? But clowns tell us a lot about ourselves. Comedy tells us a lot about society. Because right now we're living in a reality show. We have a goddamn reality TV star leading the nation, set off a war because somebody else told him to, and then afterwards said, oops, my bad. And do you see what he's doing now? Him and his whole cabinet is trying to pin all this shit on Stephen Miller and Pete Hedgwick, whatever, how you spell the man's last name, right? Because they also know that they're going to be put up for crimes against humanity. It's a cycle, y'all. This is a cycle. This is the same cycle over and over. So then what is your relationship to not only the patriarch in history, but how that shapes your understanding of what is even possible and where you find belonging in? This is why Aries is lit up right now, because Libra lies to itself, because Libra's been taught to lie to itself. Therefore, it will lie to everybody else. Because if justice is blind, and the way we understand justice and compromise and collaboration is through a maintenance of peace that is nothing more than maintaining the peace of a patriarch. The patriarch being whoever or whatever energy in that room or in that space or in that location demands your attention through all absolute top-down violence in one way or another. Then when you are living under a patriarchal society that does not know how to work with its emotions, but as a volatile patriarch that you're always trying to skirt around and know ahead of time, half of y'all are not empathetic. You're just fucking traumatized because you walk into a room and you had to figure out if somebody's feeling so that you can figure out if you were going to get your basic needs met. We're all having a wounding of identity in the self because we've all been taught right? To take care of and calm that patriarch's temper down so that we can barely, maybe, somewhat survive. And in doing so, where we digested that and replicated that in our relationships. Because if we want a new beginning, a new world, we're going to have to digest, spit out, get out, right? That type of understanding of relationship. So even when we go back in time, it was men that had to be at those tables representing what happened. But many times it was women collecting the data. And if you collected data, if you've had to work with any kind of archives or any real present day when it comes to genocide, when it comes to violence, when it comes to having to do that work, do we know the toll it takes on the body of those who are doing it? So even as we are trying to get so-called free, we're still replicating these systems of oppression and inhumanity. Because I think a lot about Ida B. Wells. I do. And other folks who were collecting those stories had to watch those lynchings, had to watch the aftermaths. I do think a lot about that and how that impacted their bodies, their psyches, their spirits, and they had to keep going. Disassociation at some point had to be part of that strategy, especially if there was not really an understanding of what care systems are. But then I think about maybe they did actually have care systems, just maybe not talking about it because the work was said to be more important, but because we deify these folks, but don't actually humanize them. Are we really learning from them? Because where is our care systems now in our so-called movements that are not performative, that don't require 18 community agreements that you write in an Instagram post as a way to, quite frankly, skirt responsibility of having to actually engage one-on-one with folks and deal with the reality of when two energies come together, you may or may not collide or get along. So what's our relationship to history and how we understand the historical record and who we're centering? Right? That will help us understand our relationship to technology, what technology we're centering, and the patriarch. Because if you center the technology of your body, Aries, by facing the wounding of the selves and identities that we all have, Chiron, at its last degrees, well, then the sun being there, Saturn being there, Neptune being there, there is a growing up we're having to do. Again, Saturn is saying, baby, we all got to grow up. Even the great mother's got to grow up. Because the mother said to come back. Mother said to come back saying, shit, we all got to grow up now. What does it mean to be nurtured and cared for? To actually care for the self. So this week, I want you to think about the relationship that is most pressing in your mind when I ask, what is your relationship to relationships? There's no judgment. I don't really care what type it is. That's the first one that needs to come up. And sit with that energy and ask yourself, in this relationship, okay, that comes up with this full moon being illuminated, where does the patriarch show up in it? And what technology am I leading with this? Because again, our relationship to AI is really telling us more about our relationship to ourselves or lack thereof. Because what's also going to be happening, and we're already seeing this now, is more and more we're seeing this kind of rise of new scientific, quote unquote, discoveries. So what's our relationship to change and the idea of science? Because right now, did y'all see, excuse me, something in my throat. Right now, did y'all see that they're finding like a bunch of new species down at the bottom of the ocean? Neptune came up to Aries to dry. Now that Neptune's up to dry, all of a sudden, there's a bit more of the deep sea waters being exposed. And now they're seeing like, what they say, like 24 new species. I got to look more into it. But there's all these new reports of saying there might be actually be a whole new kind of species that doesn't fit into any of the taxonomy right now. Of course there's not, because we don't know fully. South Node in Virgo is really having us release this idea that we already know, that Western science in particular already knows and has classified everything. So we must then go out to outer space to explore more. We barely have a comprehension of what the hell it is here. And we sure as hell don't know the true mysteries, which is those deep waters. So as the mysteries of the deep waters start to reveal itself a bit more, we're also going to be seeing how much we don't know about the body. What is your relationship to your body? Full moon in Libra is going to be bringing this up because the ruler of Libra, Venus, is going to be in her other sign of Taurus, like I said earlier. So Venus likes to be in Taurus. She likes to feel good. She likes to smell good. She likes to look good. She likes to revel in the materiality of what it means to be alive. Here's the thing though. Uranus is on the other end of Taurus right now. So you got Venus around 2 degrees. Taurus, Uranus is going to be at 28 degrees. Uranus is being like, but baby, are you really comfortable? Is this really secure? Because when I come through and shake a little bit up, I shake a little bit of that foundation up, all of that so-called beauty and so-called ability to feed yourself, when you get down to it, all of it is actually corrupted. Because are we now seeing again even more reports of these kind of coming out around food and the lack of regulation? Basically everything, whether it's organic or not, has a pesticide in it. And now we're being told that plastic is in everything. I just saw a preview. I haven't even watched it yet because I was like, child, what else we gonna learn about today? About the plight of plastics. It's on Netflix. I'll get into that later this month. But how it's seeping into everything, right? We're seeing the consequences of our relationship to outsourcing everything and what it has then on our ability to understand our bodies as a first technology that we have to work with. So we're going to be seeing with Neptune again and Saturn for these next 2 years, really the next 14, we're going to be seeing these quote unquote new kind of scientific revelations, things being exposed. And what's going to really be exposed, especially as the South Node leaves Virgo, Virgo being ruled by Mercury. So therefore, Virgo being about communication and knowledge and what we hold to be quote unquote true. As Uranus makes its way into Gemini, what we hold to be true is going to be completely shaken up, because we're going to realize how much we don't know about what we consider to be so-called truths. So especially around gender in the body, we're going to have a reevaluation. So what's your relationship to your own understanding of gender? Start with your own. What's your relationship to your gender? Have you really even asked yourself that? And then get a little more into it, right? What's your relationship to the pleasure and to culture? The Venetian things in life. Those are all coming up because we don't understand our bodies, y'all. That's the thing. We've been told we already know and we don't. How the fuck do we know? Let's be real. We don't even have in the US let women give birth in a way that does not fuck our bodies up. The arrogance. We're seeing the arrogance of the patriarch and knowledge and how much it confines everyone. So I want you to think about the Taurus house you are in as Venus makes her way. That was once that was felt good, that no longer feels good because Uranus says you're going to have to reevaluate it, right? Full moon in Libra, illuminating that, because it also helps you understand where you lied to yourself. Because Libra is taught to lie to itself because justice is blind structurally. Can y'all hear me now? Am I lagging? Okay, thank y'all. There we go. Shit. Relationship to technology. Mine is shit, y'all. I'm finding. God damn. Every time I'm trying to do something fancy with technology, it says, girl, if you don't go back to basics and know your place. Thank y'all. Okay. All right. The last thing I want to say, I was talking about the money thing, y'all. This is why I keep saying spirit don't work for free. So why the hell do you think anybody else going to do it as well? This is about exchange. It's about the relationships we have to our understanding of what justice really is. And if we say that we're going to be anti-colonial, decolonial, and all this stuff, but yet all we're doing is playing the same plantation politics and wrapping it up in and couching it in justice language, then again, we do not know how to justly be with ourselves and one another because we have been taught to lie to ourselves. ourselves. And if we believe that and understand how that has infected and invaded itself in our movement spaces, in our justice spaces, in the spaces of care, in the spaces of community, and we root that out, what would it look like then to rebuild? Right? What would it look like for real? What would it look like to honor one another's gifts in exchange? Who would we look to then? Who would we actually pay? And how could we reimagine then exchange in a way that does feed each other versus feeling like I got to take from you? And once I take from you, then I can build my shit over here and then forget where it came from. So again, the relationship piece is really big right now. And I want you to really pay attention to where you understand you've lied to yourself, where in that Taurus, by looking at your Libra and Aries axis, and then where in that Taurus house, right, that was once digestible, no longer is. So now you're being asked to reevaluate and also rewrite that script. Okay. All right. Let me stop here before this shit starts lagging on me again. All right, y'all. So next week, we're going to talk about Mars going into Aries. All right. Mars is going into Aries and it's going to do some things because it's going to really activate that Aries house before we go into that new moon the following week on the 17th. Okay. So play with the idea of fire here. All right. And where fire and your relationship to fire is coming in. And we're going to be working with that starting next week. Now, if you're in the Patreon, y'all, I got the new events up for April, okay? So divination study, we're going to continue with the tarot, but we're also going to be doing some stuff with the body, all right? So come on back to divination study if you're in soundscape or higher. We got the first one on the 6th. I got some fun things we're going to be doing, okay? That will help kind of activate a bit more and reevaluate the fool's journey. But if you're not in soundscape and you're in landscape and higher, you're going to have access to all of the tarot lessons, and you can do that on your own. So there's the landscape level is for kind of self-community study. And then if you go into soundscape, then we do more work together. But overall, the seminar for April is going to be about the body. So if you are in landscape and higher, we had a cool session last month that was talking about how we care for the body. Caring for ourselves, but this one's going to be about then what the body is. So we're going to do some guided contemplation meditation with our bodies. So come on in for that one. That's in the middle of the month. Again, it's on my Patreon, the different dates as well. I've got 2 new seminars that I'll be teaching through Big Liz this month. And once those are live, I will advertise for those, but I'm really excited. One is going to be, again, we're talking about the body here. So I'm going to be doing stuff about a seminar on your body as the first altar. So if we think about altars, not just externally, but actually the altar being your body, again, what does it mean to think about the body as an altar? So what is your cleansing and protection practices? What is the ritualization? What is the devotion, right? What are the offerings? So we're going to be talking about that. I'll be doing a seminar there. And then I'm also going to be doing a monthly kind of seminar around the new moons and working with the new moon energies in your chart. So again, I'll have more information about that next week once those classes go live. And finally, anniversary on the 2nd of the show. So if you are wanting a reading from me and you wanted to kind of get a feel of it, I'm celebrating my 1-year anniversary by offering 30% off any of my readings from now until April 17th, one time. Just use the code anniversary. All right. Okay, y'all, that's all I got for today. All right, so keep dreaming, y'all, keep exploring, because it's through the dreamscape so we can bring our realities we want into the present. Till next time. One hand to heaven, the other pointed straight to hell. Right hand as strong as the left, dancing in the shadows with myself and the dead. The shadows on the walls, a mirror to the self. Why stay stagnant and allow the flames to consume you? Dance with them and conjure under the new moon. One hand to heaven, the other a guide to the other side where the dead reside. You gotta use both hands and feel your feet if you wanna defeat the demon masquerading as human.
Wandering fight for freedom, but surrender is the only way to win. Shadow dancing, playing with the light in the dark. Shadow dancing, playing with the light in the dark.
Justice for the dead, life for the living. What is key is we need to sing a song of freedom from tyranny. One hand to heaven, the other conjuring the dead, who know the songs and actions of freedom that are needed for us in the times ahead.
Fear and rage, define the age, and everybody's hiding from the truth. Stuck together for all alone, and haunted by the shadows in the room. But that's tomorrow's and yesterday's, racing to leave something behind. The end is really the beginning when you're dancing on the edges of time. A shadow dancing, playing with the light in the dark. A shadow dancing, playing with the light in the dark. A shadow dancing, playing with the light in the dark. A shadow dancing, playing with the light in the dark.
One hand to heaven, the other in the underworld. Under the wood, the trunk of a tree, strong, sturdy, weather-bearing. Offerings laid, prayers are made. Now for the summoning. Dance with the shadows, songs erupting as the lips and hips move to the drumming. One hand to heaven, the other on the other side. Justice for the living requires justice for those on the other side.
Shadow dancing, playing with the light in the dark. Shadow dancing, playing with the light in the dark. Shadow dancing, playing with the light in the dark. A shadow dancing, playing with the light in the dark. A shadow dancing, playing with the light in the dark. A shadow dancing, playing with the light in the dark. The light in the dark.
One hand to heaven, the other pointed straight to hell. Right hand as strong as the left. Dancing in the shadows with myself and the dead. The shadows on the walls, a mirror to the self. Why stay stagnant and allow the flames to consume you? Dance with them and conjure under the new moon. One hand to heaven, the other a guide to the other side where our dead reside. Hear the ancestors call out. You gotta use both hands and feel your feet if you wanna defeat the demons masquerading as humans. Cause we've been here before. Time a loop of remembering and forgetting to remember once again. Of times before those shadows of former selves. One hand to heaven, the the other to the past, that broader present, a shell of the self. One hand to heaven, call down your head, and dance in the light of self-knowing. The other hand extends down to the land, a remembrance, a signal to awaken the dead, and rise up in glory, hallelujah, say their names, and watch the shadows dance among the flames. Righteous justice, Libra, fully balanced.